Good morning children. My name is Archana. Welcome to my channel Classroom for Class 10th. Today we are going to start our social chapter number 5, that is Indian rivers and water resources. So what are the important rivers of India and from where they originate? This all I am going to explain in this chapter, that is chapter number 5. Now students, let us open our textbook chapter number 5. In this chapter we have given a physical map of India and it shows the height of different landforms, that is the different mountains, hills, plateau and plains heights has been given. Now we can see that green color, they are the plain lands, that are the plain lands. Their heights are from 0 to 300 meters, and some plains they have 301 to 1000 meters height. We have small mountains, their heights are given 1001 meters to 3000 meters, and the dark brown color we have mainly the Himalayan region. Now children, let us see India physical map from atlas. We can see these are Himalayan mountains. These are the western coast and eastern coast of India. Here also we can find small hills and mountains. Here also we can find small hills and mountains. The main big ranges and big mountain in India are the Himalayas. Himalayas are the greatest mountains in the world, and they have got very big mountain ranges also. This, by the melting of the glaciers and ice caps, lot of rivers originate. Mainly there are three main rivers that originate from Himalayas. They are the Indus. We can see this Indus river that is mainly flows in Pakistan, and it has many tributaries like Jhelum, Satluj, Ravi, Chenab and river Beas. Ganga river, it also originates from Himalayan ranges and it starts flowing towards southeast, enters into the Gangetic plain, and by passing through many states, northern states in India, it enters into West Bengal and then merges into Bay of Bengal. That is the Ganga river system. Now we have another river system, that is Brahmaputra river system. We can see these are the Brahmaputra river and their tributaries. Brahmaputra river also originates from Himalayan ranges and it starts flowing mainly in China, Tibet, then it enters into India in Arunachal Pradesh. It moves towards southwest and flows through Assam and all these states. Then it enters into Bangladesh and merges into Bay of Bengal. These are the three main river systems that originate from Himalayan ranges. Again come to our textbook Himalayan rivers. Himalayan rivers are perennial rivers. What is meant by perennial rivers? They have water throughout the year. These rivers never dries up. That is Indus river system, Ganga river system and Brahmaputra river system. These are the Himalayan rivers, and Himalayas are the birthplace of these river system. These river systems are perennial because they carry water throughout the year, because their source of water is glaciers and ice caps. They never depend whole and soul on the rain, so they are perennial. In this Himalayan river system, I have told you about Indus river system. Indus originate in the north slopes of Kailash ranges in Tibet near Lake Mansarovar. It flows to north westerly course through Tibet. It enters into the territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The main tributaries of Indus is in India are Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. It covers Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and Himachal Pradesh states of India. Now come to Ganga system. The Ganga has twin sources. The main one is the Gangotri glacier, where it is called Bhagirathi. The other is Satopnath glacier, northeast of Badrinath, where it is called Alaknanda. The two join at Devprayag to form the Ganga that emerges from the hills of Haridwar. The Ganga is joined by a large number of tributaries. The majority of these originate in Himalayan ranges, but some of them have their source in the Peninsular Plateau. So these are the Ganga river system. Before explaining Peninsular River, children, let us open our atlas and see what are the Peninsular Rivers. Peninsular Rivers that originate from the Peninsular region of India. This area is called Peninsular region of India. Why it is called Peninsular? Already I have explained you. Because the southern part of India is surrounded by water bodies from three sides. So it is called Peninsula. So there are mainly 4 rivers that originate from Peninsular Plateau. That is Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. They all originate from the Western Ghat. Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. They all originate from Western Ghat and it flows towards the east because the plateau is tilted from west to east. So all these rivers originate from western side and slowly flows towards the eastern side. After flowing to eastern side, here they make delta. Mahanadi make delta in Orissa coast. Godavari make delta in the Andhra Pradesh. Krishna also make delta in Andhra Pradesh and Kaveri river make delta in Tamil Nadu. So all these delta, Mahanadi delta, Godavari delta, Krishna delta and Kaveri delta, these deltas form a very fertile coastal plain in the east coastal plain. Now let us children, we should thoroughly read the Peninsular Rivers. The Western Ghat are the water divide between the major Peninsular River discharging their water in Bay of Bengal and as small rivulets joining the Arabian Sea. Most of the major Peninsular Rivers except Narmada and Tapti flow from the west to east. All the rivers, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, they flow from west to east except Narmada and Tapti. I will show you Narmada Tapti on the atlas. Let us complete this reading. The Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, Ken and Son originating in the northern part of the peninsular belong to Ganga river system. The other major river system of the peninsular drainage are the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, the Kaveri. Peninsular rivers are characterized by fixed course. They have fixed course. Absence of meanders means tributaries. Meanders means tributaries and largely non-perennial. Perennial means they have water only in the rainy season because their source of water is not glaciers, neither ice caps. So they depend on the rainy season. So they are non-perennial. Their courses are fixed. They originate from the Western Ghat and flows towards the Eastern Ghat except Narmada and Tapti. The Godavari is the largest peninsular river system. The source of the river is in the Triambak Plateau near Nasik in Maharashtra and discharges its water into Bay of Bengal. Now I will show you atlas. Now children, let us see Narmada river. This is Narmada river. Originate from Vindhya mountain ranges, flows towards the west and merges into Arabian Sea. Tapti, it also originates from Satpura range. Narmada originates from the Vindhya mountain ranges and Satpura originates from and Tapti originates from Satpura ranges. These two rivers are exceptional. They flows towards east to west. Remaining all the rivers, I have told you children, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, they all originate from the Western Ghat, flows towards the east and make delta in the eastern coastal plain. Whereas Narmada and Tapti, they originate from the Vindhya ranges and Satpura ranges. This is Vindhyachal range and this is Satpura range. From here, Narmada and Tapti originate, flows towards the western side and merges into Arabian Sea. making delta here. They make delta here in the western coastal plain, north tip of the western coastal plain. Now students, one more important thing about Ganga river system is that Ganga river originates from the two main glaciers. They are the Gangotri glacier, where it is called Bhagirathi, and the another is the Satopnath glacier, where it is called Alaknanda. Satopnath glacier is near Badrinath. So these two rivers, Bhagirathi and Alaknanda, they join at Devprayag. The joining point is called Devprayag, from where Ganga river originates from the hills of Haridwar. And now it starts flowing towards southeastern side of Gangetic plain, where it is joined by another rivers that originates from the Deccan Plateau, and some are coming from the Himalayan region and joining Ganga on the way. These are the very important things. Another thing is that when the river originates, that time its speed is very high. So in their way, they cut the ground and make a V-shaped valley. Now let us see the picture. From here, Alaknanda and Bhagirathi, they originate and they meet near Devprayag, and here it gets the name river Ganga. River Ganga originates from the Haridwar hills, then it starts flowing in this way. This is the path of Ganga river, and then it enters into West Bengal in our country, and it makes delta in West Bengal near Sundarban. This is the Ganga delta. On the path, Ganga river is joined by many tributaries that originates from the Malwa plateau or Deccan plateau, and it is joined. Some rivers also coming from the Himalayan region, and they join river Ganga. In this way, river Ganga becomes very broad and full of water, and it goes on flowing through the Gangetic plain, covering all the states, the northern states like Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh. All these areas are covered by Ganga river. Now children, let us see in our chapter number 1, we have given some pictures. Like this is a valley. This is in Himalayan region, we will find a lot of V-shaped valley. Why it is V-shaped? Because when the river originates from the Himalayan region, it is flowing with a high speed, and on the way it cuts the land. Steep cut of land is there, and through this land it is flowing and cutting the land areas, making it into V shape. So in the mountain region we find V-shaped valley like Kashmir Valley, Kangra and Kulu Valley. These all valleys are made by the rivers which originate from Himalayan ranges, and they are having a very high speed, so they cut soil and rocks on their way, making its path towards its way. So is it clear? Now we have another topic, water use. What are the uses of water? There are many important uses of water. The first thing is water is used for drinking purposes. So the priority should be given for the drinking water. Next, water is used for domestic purposes. Water is used by the animals. Water is used for agriculture, and water is used for industrial purpose also. Whatever the water we get as an inflow, we are using that water only. So how we are using this water, and how this inflow water is used by the trees and plants. In our textbook we have given water cycle picture. Now see here, this is the precipitation is the main source of water. What is precipitation? Precipitation can be in the form of rainfall, hailstorm, snowfall or ice. This is called precipitation. This is the main source of water on the earth. Rainfall is absorbed by the surface of the earth, and it is stored under the surface. This is called groundwater inflow. The water which is passing and percolates under the earth, under the surface of the earth, is called groundwater inflow. These groundwater is stored in the root zone also. Here on the surface of the earth there are many trees and plants, and there are many roots here. So these roots also store water. This is called root zone storage of water. Some waters are stored in tank, rivers, canals. These are called surface storage. Now surface water outflow, and some waters which are going under the surface of the earth, they goes very deep under the earth. They are stored in the rocks, and sometimes we are never getting out these waters, because they are going and stored under so deep that in any time also we are not able to access to that water. So these are the inflows. What are the outflow of water? Evapotranspiration. When evaporation and transpiration takes place at the same time is called evapotranspiration, like big trees and plants. Now evaporation from the surface storage. Some water which are stored on the surface of the earth, it is also evaporated by the sun heat. Evaporation from the saturated surface. Now the ground where there is no ponds or rivers, these surface is also getting wet by the precipitation. This wet surface is also evaporated by the heat of the sun. Now water used for domestic and industrial purposes. This is also the main outflow of water. People are using a lot of water for domestic purposes and for the industrial purposes. Thus we can see precipitation is the main source of water. It is the main flow of water which flows on the surface of the earth. It percolates and goes underground. It is stored under the ground, under the surface, and over the surface also water is stored in rivers, tanks, ponds and canals, and thus we use this water for drinking water, for cleaning purposes, for domestic purposes and for industrial use. Now in our textbook, page number 62, we have got a word stock. What is stock? How we have stock for grains. We store grains for the whole of the year, because when there is a season we get paddy and wheat. After the season we are not getting, so we store the stock of food grains for the whole year. In the same way we have a stock of water. Underground water is the stock of water, or on the surface also lakes and ponds are the stock of water. It is very important to preserve water, to save water, this stock of water, because we have a different type of land form on the earth and in our country. Some areas are getting good rainfall and they have a surface water. They are very little in the scarcity of water. But there are some areas like in Maharashtra and in Tamil Nadu, in northwestern part of India, Thar desert. These areas, they have a very scanty rainfall. So they are depending on the stock of water. Suppose we have a stock of water and we use the stock more than we collect it. So what will happen? After a few months, the stock of water will be ended. Same thing happens for ground water. People are using more and more underground water. How much we are drawing water from underground, that much is not recharged. So the aquifer, what is meant by aquifer? The water table under the ground is called aquifer. So the recharge of this aquifer is very important. But nowadays we see that most of the areas are either cemented or they have coal tar road, which can't absorb water. Water cannot percolate the ground where there is no soil. So the percolation of water is very little nowadays. That means whatever the stock is there, we are using that stock of water. Now children, let us discuss the topic water use in the Tunga River basin. Atlas, this is river Tungabhadra. It originates from the Western Ghat, and this is the course of its flow. It is flowing through Karnataka and then enters into Andhra Pradesh. In this way, this is the route of Tungabhadra river. Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, these two states are getting water from Tungabhadra river. The catchment area, that means the area through which Tungabhadra river flows. Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh both have the catchment area of Tungabhadra river with a catchment area of 71,417 km square, of which 57,671 km are in Karnataka. Karnataka have a big catchment area of Tungabhadra river. So it is divided into two parts, two catchment area. The upper and middle catchment area in Karnataka. Here, Karnataka state have two catchment area, upper and middle catchment area, and the lower portion, lower catchment area is in the Andhra Pradesh region. Let us discuss what are the problems faced by the people living in these two states, that is Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, especially those who are living in the catchment area of Tungabhadra river basin. Now, what is the main occupation? The farmland. The farming is the main occupation of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh people. There are permanent pastures, forests and natural vegetation cover the rest of the area. Some of the territory is used for storage by water harvesting system called tanks. So people use water harvesting system, they store water in tanks. The lower portion of the basin in Andhra Pradesh are characterized by lower rainfall and drought condition. Some regions depend on rainfall and underground water like wells and tube wells. Other areas depend on surface flow by canals and carry water from dams built along Tungabhadra river. There is a lot of difference in water availability between these two types of region. So these are the problems faced by the people living in this area. Now encroachment. What is meant by encroachment? That illegal occupation of land. So there is a lot of encroachment problem in Tungabhadra river basin. Encroachment of public land for cultivation is common. People illegally occupy the land and start cultivation. It results in more land being brought under cultivation at the expense of tree cover. They cut down the tree and it is used as a farmland. Rampant felling of trees. Rampant felling of trees means drastically, they without considering anything, they cut the forest for the farmland. And mining activity. This is another occupation. They are mining in this area. They are digging the earth. Is resulting in forest degradation. So the forest area near the Tungabhadra river basin is slowly decreasing. Along with the destruction of the habitat of highly threatened flora and fauna. Inadequate tree cover leads to water runoff as surface flow without getting a chance to recharge the groundwater system. Moreover, this also causes flash flood, sudden flood. Flash flood means sudden flood. Because if we wish to be fair to both the rain-fed and canal-irrigated region, we must adopt a different plan for water conservation and system of sharing water. Tungabhadra Dam has gradually lost its water storage capacity over the decades. About 50 years ago, the capacity of the reservoir was 3,766 million cubic meters. Now, with accumulation of silt, what is meant by silt? The soil or the debris that is deposited under the surface of the river. It makes the river very shallow. These are called silt. So silt due to the mining, dust, soil erosion, debris. Reservoir has lost the storage capacity by as much as 849 million cubic meters of water. So these are the problems faced by the Tungabhadra river basin and by the people living in this area. One more important thing, children, these areas, that is Karnataka, mainly the Karnataka area, this land is mainly fit for the semi-arid crop. What is meant by semi-arid crop? The crop which needs less water. With the little irrigation, the crop can grow, like millet, jowar, ragi, bajra. They are called semi-arid crops. But due to the demand of the crops like paddy and wheat, the farmers are growing mainly these crops. And these crops like paddy, sugarcane, and wheat, they need a lot of water. But the farmers are under pressure to cultivate these crops only, because there is a lot of demand of these crops in the market. So this led to the more use of water. So the farmers are drawing water from underground. Now some farmers, they have access to water, underground water, and some have not. So there is again a conflict between the two types of farmers which have access to water and another group which don't have access to water. This is another point for conflict. Now another problem is there is a rapid increase in population in the city areas of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. So people are coming and settling in the second tier city or metro city. So these cities are getting a lot of pressure, especially for water. Another thing is the rapid industrialization. Industries are throwing dirty water carrying molasses into the river, which kill the fishes. So the fishermen, they also protested against these companies and industries, so that they should not allow the polluted water to go into the river Tungra. Only the water which are treated, that is treated effluent. Effluent means wastewater which had been cleaned, then only they should be allowed to go into the river. So these are the water problem faced by the people living in the Tungra river basin. Now children, one thing very important to keep in mind, that water is a common resource. When we consider the socio-economic condition, that water is not a thing or an item which should be taken only by the people who can pay. So there are laws which had been passed in our country which should be amended. But the ownership of water is a thing that affects the nearby areas. When we draw water from my land, we are affecting the underground water which is next to my land, that is the neighboring area. So the law should be rectified and it should be amended so that it suits all the people living in the children. Now chapter 5th, these many topics we have completed today. The next topic we will discuss in our next class. Till then, I hope you have liked my video. Please do observe, share my video. See you in my next video. Goodbye children.